All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Journey of You podcast today. Our topic is all around play, and how this relates to such a more joyful existence in our lives and throughout our daily lives, even doing the exact same thing we're doing all the time, but we're changing our lens
Mm,
into play,
mm.
right? And then we can receive more of that, experience more of that. And somehow it shifts the entire way we experience it.
Welcome back to another episode of Joy, the Journey of You podcast. We're your hosts, Devin and Chris, and we're here for joy.
This podcast is your permission slip to reconnect to your inherent joy and to embrace it.
Let's fill up the cosmic joy pot together as we dive in to today's episode.
One of the things we talk about in terms of play is being connected to the present moment and how the present really allows you to open up to play. And anytime, we're stressed in a day, we're thinking about what we need to do or what we wrote in that past email that we sent, and we're kind of worried about that and how it comes across. And it blocks your access to play in that way, right? So, or maybe you're stressed about a deadline and you're worried about things like all the things that you have to do because we all live very, full lives.
Mm.
Um, this is true. I don't know. This is just how a lot of us go through our day to day. And what if there was another way? What if we could open ourselves up to more childlike wonder and curiosity and approach things in a way that let in just more life, more laughter
Mm-hmm.
into the everyday? So, Devin, I would love to hear from you today in terms of how you've integrated some play into your life and how that's shifted experiences for you.
Oh gosh, yeah, right. Okay. Hey everybody. Yeah, Felicia, it's you and I both know that play has been a big part of our whole relationship. I think I shared with you with the listeners that we've been friends for 20 years now, and we have I'm sure the story will come out, but we've had a lot of play in our relationship, and we've like unknowingly to us as in our late teens was that and honestly as we've aged, it's like you and I have had such an orientation to play in our relationship. And I can think of so many examples of how play has really opened me up to the flow state and the flow of life. But there was an example that came very obvious to me yesterday because I was actually traveling via a plane yesterday. And previous times, and
Mm.
when I've traveled, in the past, the way I oriented to travel was like to be invisible. Like I wanted to be invisible. I wanted to keep like travel to me was awesome. The best way to be invisible is travel to me. In the past, and honestly, I still could to this day if I was choosing that. So like I would purposely not have eye contact with people. I would kind of keep into my own bubble and like just didn't want to be bothered, honestly, by everybody. And so in those experiences in the past, I would have been really isolated in my experience, and it would have been fine, but it just wasn't like a playful experience. It was literally just like I'm just getting point to A to point B. It was very functional. I need to fly from this place, right? Not very joyful or connected or very flow state at all. Not necessarily bad. I think a lot of times people can really think that it's bad, but it's more of like it can just be kind of meh, kind of just lackluster, right? But yesterday, and where I go now to is that I wouldn't have said that directly play, but I would have said is I want to be present to what's happening as I'm traveling and just be there for it. And I did yesterday. And as I was traveling, I would just have these organic moments of genuine joyful laughter and connection with people. Like randomly, the woman next to me in line, I was just there for the moment versus being in my bubble, headphones on and just kind of in your thing. I'm just there in line waiting to get onto my flight. And I don't remember exactly what we talked about, but I had these really great connections with the two women behind me. And as we talked, it was like I had been friends with them for the longest time, right? And and then also too, like just randomly people in a coffee shop to where if I'm being open to the present moment, I end up just experiencing what I would call like kismet or like play with the universe to where it's like the universe is just talking to me and I get to giggle and laugh. Like for instance, there's a park, not really a park, but like a patch of grass in the city here. I'm down in downtown San Jose. You guys know how cities are. And there's just like a patch of like a small little park kind of thing here. And I was last night I was walking through the park and I come up and there were all these trees with these purple flowers, and it was just like
Mm.
sea of purple flowers, and it was like the universe
Wow.
was playing with me. It was just like this play of confetti flowers. And I was giggling. I'm like sitting here looking, like you guys know me is like I'll look like that crazy person giggling in the park and laughing at like, oh my God, like seriously? Like I love this. And so it allowed me to be really connected to nature amongst being in this very concrete jungle with a lot of vibration and everything. And so it's really for me, it's about an orientation to being willing to be open, being willing to just be present, not knowing how you started the whole episode, not knowing what will come, but that's really where I've experienced flow state happening. And but flow state within myself of being connected, but connected to others, connected to life, and being able to like be in the play and that joy of that really inherent connection that we actually have with the universe if we lean into it. Yeah. Yeah.
And I love what you said there in terms of flow state. And for those listeners who may not be familiar with flow state, I'd love for you to talk about what flow state means for you.
Yeah. So flow state to me, right? So I know a lot of times flow state is used in athletics, right? Is in sports and things, is that there's a certain point where you like the world kind of disappears and you're just like in the zone, right? And so if you've been in athletics and you've had an experience of that, you
Mm-hmm.
know what that feels like. You're in the zone and it's just like you're just on, you're fully on. Well, take that same premise and it's just like if life is a game, right? If life is a game and you're here, and we don't need to make it a competitive sport, but let's call it a game, right? Because most sports start off as a game. They start off as a game, right? Well, so in life, to me,
Something fun that you're doing. Yeah.
exactly, right? And so flow state in life to me is a state of oneness. It's a state of
Yeah.
oneness with your consciousness, your soul, your being that allows you to be
Mm.
so inherently connected that you know what's true for you in the next given moment, right? Like when somebody offers you the opportunity to like, "Hey, do you want to go to dinner or do you want to go to dancing?" And when you in flow state, you're kind of like, "I would love to dance." And you just kind of know that you would love to dance versus go have dinner. And it's just like this way of being so lit up and connected into yourself that like where to flow, right? Like you know where to flow because you're in your you're in your inherent flow connection, right? If you see anybody who's on videos, what you can see, this is how I often experience it because our spirit self is coming into us like this. And flow state to me is that we're inherently in that connection. It's just flowing into us, down upon us, within us, like rain would come down upon us. Um, so that to me is how I would describe flow state. Yeah, I love that question too. Yeah. How about you, Felicia? How about you? What are some stories that come to mind as you've applied this in your life?
I mean, there's so many. There's so very many. And I guess one of them that I'll take that just showed up for me, am I am I good? Am I
Yeah,
stable?
yeah, yeah. You're good. We can hear
Okay.
you.
One that just showed up like very obviously was actually during a coaching session I was having with Chris
Mm,
yesterday around my business.
mm-hmm,
And so I've been starting this coaching business for the last 4 years, right?
mm-hmm,
And it's felt really thick and it's felt really heavy. And so Chris and I tuned in to, okay, what would we like to receive out of this coaching container? And what came so obviously was like this expectation that everything is going to be done, everything is going to be really fast, and all the steps are going to be laid out for me, like because that's what my ego wants. It
mm-hmm.
really wants to know the unknown,
Yeah.
and it has a hard time like living in this magic or this play of the unknown because it's like
Mm,
right. And so now if I look, and so this is something obviously for me, like I'm still learning how to connect with more often, is that playful, joyful, childlike curiosity of like, oh, if I just let go of my expectations and I actually allowed myself to be guided or led by what lights me up, what brings me excitement, what brings me into that childlike state of like, wow, this is so much fun, you know?
Mm.
Um, it's when I've done that in my business, uh, even the example of like, it took me a year and a half to build my website because I was trying to find the perfect answer, trying to find the perfect, the way, the color scheme, the themes, the information, the knowledge. And so whenever I get into perfection mode, it leads me to paralysis. I'm like, no, can't do anything because it's not going to be perfect. Right. And so when I open myself up to taking a step, right, inviting in play while I do this, like the
Mm.
website came together in a less than a day of
Mm-hmm.
overall like working time.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, that was easy. Like push that
I
staples button. That
know.
was easy.
I always wonder how
And
many
it's been
people
the
actually can
same.
like go with these references, right? Because like it seems like, and it's weird how it's
Oh,
advertising, but like in our time, and we're not even that old to be honest, right? But in our time frame, it's like, do people still know what the easy button is? This is totally the easy button, isn't
for
it?
those of you who don't and didn't grow up in like TV time, right? It was a TV advertisement for Staples. And they go, that was easy. So
Yeah. And I love what you were
yeah,
saying about
when
that.
you connect,
Go for it.
mm, no, I was just gonna say that it completely relates to how you were describing the flow state, how you've experienced flow state in your life,
Mm-hmm.
right? I have experienced it in bowling, in when I play music, for instance, right? And I think the thing that's missed often in our society as we talk about flow state is that application into every single thing that you do if you
Mm-hmm.
choose it.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what we're doing here today is allowing more of that flow to infiltrate, to weave itself into your whole day, everything that
Mm.
you do, right? I know it seems crazy, but you could actually get into a flow state while washing your dishes.
Yep. Yep. I love you talking about this because I think there's a big
Yeah.
misconception about this, of that flow state or being in the flow or being tuned in and being aligned is only when I'm meditating or only when I'm doing my sport or only when I'm doing my work. And it can become very compartmentalized. And I think that's a big thing where when we're talking about like, so like, how do we really live this way? I think that's a big question people ask in spiritual and self-development is like, I get it, right? Like be in the present moment. I get it, like how many times there's a gajillion podcasts out there, you guys. I know you've heard this. This is not the first time you're hearing this. But I love
We've listened to them too.
right? But this is where I think not even I think I know in my heart of hearts and my gut, my soul, this is
Mm,
where the difference comes in is that we can live this way day in and day out. We can live this when brushing your teeth, when washing the dishes, when going
mm,
on an airplane, like these things that seem like, oh, just like another thing in the day. But like we have whole lives, you guys. Like your life is not just your sport. Your life is not just your work. Our lives are so much more. And the other thing I wanted to touch base on what you said is the play of the unknown, right?
mm,
Is that's where is in that like expectation work vibration of things. If your life is a chore, if your life is work, if your life, right, if that's one orientation, that's one way to look at things. But that's really essence of what the unknown is asking. Like, come play with me. Like, come play. You know? Yeah.
and in you saying that, um, it's that perspective of like, okay, brushing your teeth, washing the dishes, getting on an airplane. I'm just gonna get through it,
Yeah.
right? Like that is
Mm.
the mentality of like the things that we don't really want to do or like seem
Mhm.
mundane, monotonous. Like I'm just gonna get through it.
Mhm.
And so if you can find any little thing that gives you a little bit of pleasure from the action that you're doing, from the thing that you're doing, right? It invites this atmosphere of like, oh, that could be play, or this could be play, or, like that was actually quite enjoyable
Yeah.
in a way that I wasn't expecting. Or I met someone on a plane,
Yeah. Totally. And that's where you allow it to discover, as you saying this is where we discover things, right? If we're in that, like, I just
Mm.
need to get through it, we're going back to here's what I'm expecting to have happen because I'm basing it off my experiences in the past. So that's why if I'm assuming it'll be this way, then I'm already painting a picture of what I need to go through. So then I'm seeing what I need to get through. I just like if it, but like if you guys can feel that energy, it's a very heavy, sticky energy. And it's not even like heavy depressed. It's more just like, again, like I was saying, meh. It's just kind of like, right? It's
It's
just like,
thick. It's
it's,
hard to move through.
yeah. It's like, why would you be excited about your day if that's the lens you're looking through, right? So, you
And
guys,
going back to what you said
yeah,
just quickly
go for
about
it.
like what is known to you from your past experience, right? Is like that becomes your expectation.
Exactly.
And so tying that all together with what Devin said is like, what are we expecting? Are we, and how much are we holding on to that notion of like having everything be known and neat and compartmentalized
Hmm.
and getting through it in that way? Or like leaning into the magic of that
Yeah,
unknown and play?
totally. So let's explore, you guys. So, first, I'd love for you to just like get real with yourself in this moment. As I ask you this question, just notice what it is for you. So, what's your default mode when you enter your day? Do you have, if you were real with yourself, as Felicia and I talk about this, if you were like, as soon as you wake up in the morning and when you go to look at your day, are you in those vibes of, oh, I wonder what the day will bring? Or are you more in the vibes of like, okay, I just got to get through today? Or, ugh, even worse is saying, like, I'm pretty sure today is going to be horrible, right? Like, just notice what yours is, right? Like, and just be real with yourself, right? And the reason why I share that is to be honest with you guys, right? In the thick of my depression, like every day was like, this is going to be horrible. I would wake up and just assume it was going to be horrible. And that's literally like the lens I'm putting on my day. And what I share with my clients is like, imagine these are glasses that you're putting on in the morning. So, my question to you, my friends, is what glasses are you putting on when you wake up in the morning? So, if you're driving, just go ahead and like log that in your awareness. If you're able to write it down, I do invite you to go ahead and just write a few things down that are really obvious. I'll pause here for a moment to give everybody an opportunity to just write down and really log what's your default mode when you wake up in the morning and enter your day. Good. So just get a few words down. And so as you get a few words, you'll just get really that essence of that lens. Because you know this lens, like, but I think the biggest part of it is acknowledging what your default mode is. So now, knowing what your default mode is, I want you to imagine if you woke up and you knew that you woke up and you acknowledged, here's my default mode. Here's what I could, if I wasn't conscious, if I wasn't intending anything, here's how I'd go through the day. But you catch it right then and there. You pause for a moment and you say to yourself, I'd actually like to intend that today, and only today, just for right now, that I want to look out for more play and connection with life and the universe. Just imagine for right now, just that moment in bed or that moment in the morning where you're just getting ready for the day and you're just starting to emerge. You acknowledge what your default mode is, but you then shift into what would it look like for me if I intended to see more play and experience more play and connection today? And now I invite you to move through your day imaginarily right now. See yourself go through your morning routine. Maybe you're eating breakfast, whatever your normal activities are, but notice how it would feel about doing those normal everyday activities with this lens. And then move a little further throughout your day. You know, you're now through midday, you're halfway through the day, you're still in this lens, still looking out into the world for play and connection. And notice what you see. Notice what's available to you now when you look out for it. And then progressing into later in your day. It's around dusk. Maybe your work is done. Maybe you're with your family, you're out for a walk. Just do your normal day. But notice what has happened by you setting that intention to look out for more play and connection. Notice what you notice. Notice what you feel, what you see, what connections you make with people, with places, with energy, with your own soul. And then imagine yourself going to bed and you're laying down and you're looking at your day and you're reflecting on your day. And what was it like? What was it like to be looking out for more play and connection? What did you experience? And how does it feel to be at the end of your day relishing in that? And imagine how well you would sleep that night. And imagine that the next day, how much simpler, how much easier it may be to lean into that once again. So, what was it for you? What did you experience from that lens? And if you're driving, just log that for yourself. And if you're able to write it down, I really invite you to write this down. Write down exactly what stood out to you. Right? So for me, when I went through that, I was able to see, and just like I was telling you guys in my travels yesterday, I was able to see moments of just smiling to a stranger, moments with squirrels playing, these moments where there's joy and play in nature that I may or may not be directly engaging with a person, but I'm more in it. I'm more in the day. What was it like for you, Felicia?
What's funny because you said when you wake up and the Kesha song TikTok came into my head, like wake up in the morning feeling like P. Diddy. And so like you might have noticed in the beginning of your demo there that I was just smiling because that's the kind of energy we're talking about, is like getting into that kind of letting it be playful and less heavy. So for me, it was actually, I refer to my dog a lot because I have this dog. Her name is Annie. We call her Annie Banani because she's kind of crazy. And she has this like appetite for life. She's always ready to go. If you give her a ball, she's like, oh, let's go play ball, right? Or she attacks her food with as much zealousness. Like, yay. And so sometimes I look at her and I think, wow, how cool would it be to like live life through that perspective for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
um and she just reminds me enough that like sometimes if I forget, then I'll look at her and I'll remember that vibration, that vivaciousness, and I'll infuse that into my own life. So it felt more hopeful.
Mm-hmm.
It felt like as I went through my day, oh, you know, maybe I'm kind of like, oh, I've got to drive into the city. It's going to be a long drive. Like, it's going to be kind of boring or really hot because I don't have air conditioning. Like,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
what if, you know, and then instead it was like, oh, what if I really enjoyed the drive? And I live in the countryside, right? So it's very easy to see animals and deer and things. And if you're not looking, like, you'll just miss them. Like, I could see birds playing and, going as far as like my day-to-day connections, like who I'm interacting with, and just being like, oh, what if that was a really fun connection? What would that
Mm-hmm.
feel like? Right. And it it felt hopeful and optimistic and like more opportunity.
Right? And hope to me always has an opening, right? Is like if you were to go if because like a lot of people have drives, right? For anybody listening, it's like if you're driving right now and commuting, right? It's like you have an orientation and a lens of how you look at that. It's like you could totally look at that and just be like, oh, another drive versus like, what if I just open up and let it be? I'm gonna drive anyway. You're gonna be driving anyways, okay? But it's like you're gonna be doing it anyways. But how do you want to experience it? And it seems
Mm,
it's like I'm hearing the naysayer here. I'm hearing the naysayer who's like, oh, this is such hooey, right? Of like that like, think positive. This is so much beyond positive. It's an actual shift into focus. I know in previous episodes we've talked about this, right? Is there's a phrase of where your focus goes, energy flows. So as we talk about flow state, that's what we're talking about. That's what we're talking about. That's what we're talking about, right? So, my friends, here is my invitation. Our invitation to you is what if you were to, my invitation is not even what if, it's actually, here's the invitation. Set the intention for just one day to be open to play and connection and see what happens. Like, what do you got to lose? Just like for one day, low bar, low stakes, just for one day, I'm going to keep my eye out for play, connection with the universe and life itself. Let's just see what happens. Let's just see what happens. So if it's super easy for you, hit the ground running, just go with this. But if not, if you're struggling with this, Felicia has an idea for you.
Okay. One of the things is because like if I set an intention for the day and I'm new to setting an intention for the day, I might actually write it down on my hand so that I can look at it throughout the day and be like, oh, right, I meant to intend to this, right? So like, oh, fun, play. And I'll write it down on my hand. The second thing is if you're new to this, right? I had mentioned my dog Annie and seeing how much vibrancy she has in her day to day, right? This can be true of when you have kids, when you have other pets other than dogs like cats and things, right? And you see them with this childlike curiosity, with this childlike wonder, approaching the day like, ooh, this is
Mm,
fun. Ooh, what about this? And it's less, and I feel like because for children, like they have less of that expectation of how a day is going to be because they don't
hmm
have that lived experience or the jadedness of like going through a work day and those responsibilities, which I do understand, right? But how can we come back to that state? We were all like that when we were kids. We were all like, ooh, what's this?
hmm
What's this snail? Like, this is cool and it feels interesting, right? Like, I'm not saying go up and play with snails, but you could.
You could.
You could.
There's no limits here.
And it's kind of just taking those moments when you feel aware of it to be like, oh, or when you notice it in others, like how can I let that infect me?
hmm
Infect is such a funny word, but let's say that playfulness becomes infectious,
hmm
right? And see how that just opens your door a little bit more
Yeah,
to the possibility of play.
totally. Yeah, I mean, I'm reminded of, I have two things coming in and talking about is that I remember in my depression, like dogs have always been such a medicine for me. And definitely during my depression, it's like I would literally look at the world through my dog's eyes, like to see, like I would look at my dog and just be like, and yes, I can hear again the naysayers, and there was a part of me that was just like, well, life would be easier if I was a dog, right? But
Sometimes.
this is how we practice. So it's like
Yeah.
if you have kids, it's like, what if I looked at this scenario through the eyes of my child? What if I looked at this scenario through the eyes of my dog? What if I looked at the scenario of my eyes of my cat? And so if you're struggling, it's like pretend that you are someone or something that can see it from that lens. And this is where you can start to no pun intended, but pun intended of this is where you start to play with it, right? It's about willing to lean into that play and the unknown. Again, that playful unknown. Because yeah, dogs and kids have it, and we had it at one time. We just forgot, you guys. We just forgot. And so this is the opportunity to remind yourself, and that's what we would love for you is and why we're doing this, you guys. We're doing this to remind you of what's here, of what's here for all of us to be enjoying, experiencing, and going through our lives. Whether it be that we're on vacation and having a great time, or whether it be that we're in our day to day in the kitchen, or we're just taking a walk in the neighborhood, right? Like it can be applied right here, right now. So today's the day. Today's the day. Set that intention for
Like
today.
like Devin said, you're gonna do these things regardless. Throughout your day, you're gonna be doing your daily tasks anyways. So like, how do we want to see it? Joyfully or like gotta get through it?
Yeah. 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 So write it down. Write it down. Okay. So write down, if you haven't already, write down what came up for you. Share with a friend. Remember, we always say that like things become really real when we share with others. So share it with a friend. And if you want to share with us, we always love to hear from you. So feel free to comment on any of our podcast platforms. Or email us at journeyofyoupodcast@gmail.com. We genuinely love hearing from you because we're all about you guys applying this, right? Like, I think our number one feedback we've gotten from listeners is we love how we can apply something. We're not just here to listen to you guys just jabber on forever. As much as I know you love hearing our voice, you love hearing things, we'd love for you to change your life. We'd love for you to experience more play and connection, and share in the play and connection that we get to now because we're oriented in this way. Yeah, yeah. So here's your invitation, everybody, and let us know how it goes. And until next time, here's to your joyful play.
Yay!
Bye.